All right, well, thank you everyone for attending today. This is an ongoing series of monthly, sometimes bi-monthly informational webinars put together by Sweetbriar and myself to help our clients better understand some of the tools that are available at their disposal. Today we will be focusing on Google Sites. I will be your instructor today. My name is Rob Moore. I'm Director of Customer Support here with Sweetbriar. So today our focus, we'll be looking at sites, but our focus today is primarily going to be actually on the new sites as opposed to classic sites. The reason for that being the classic sites is working its way out right now. So there is some information that I've included in here. I'm not going to spend a ton of time going into that or really much at all, but I did want to include some links for those of you that are interested in learning more about that. There's a timeline on here that I've got a clickable link to, as well as migration tools. So I'll talk about that briefly here in just a few moments. Today we are training to familiarize our clients with the new Google Sites so that they can best utilize that platform for their business operations to try and simplify some things. Today we're going to look at how sites can be implemented for your business to simplify project organization, to house important documents as kind of an online file cabinet almost, where you have a one-stop shop everyone can access. Also as a company intranet is a wonderful use for the sites here. And then we're going to look real briefly towards the end at a little bit of the editing features. I'm not going to spend too much time on that because today I just really wanted to function more or focus more on some basic functions and things that I think would be most useful to our clients. But I will briefly show you an extension that I think is a really great tool for this. And then also analytics and the ability to add app script so that you can kind of specialize your websites a little bit. Please don't worry about remembering all of this as we go through. We will be providing you with a recorded copy of the webinar. And then also we will be sending out the slides that you'll be looking at during this. So the clickable links I've included in here, you'll have access to that just a little bit after we finish up here. And then after the video uploads and everything, we'll get you a copy of that as well. So don't feel like you have to remember all of this. You'll have access to all of these materials again after we're done here. So just pay attention, get what you can out of it today, but know that you'll have all of this to go back and look at again. So the new Google Sites is an amazing platform to create web pages without any knowledge of coding or computer programming. So it's really nice for people that are not super techy to be able to put these things together. Google has taken the science out of building the web pages, and at this point, we've basically reduced it to a point and click. So there are, of course, examples where you're going to want to do a little more with it, where it'll take just a little bit more, but by and large, it's going to be point and click. And again, as we get towards the end of this, I will go ahead and give you a brief run through of the editing tools just so you can see how easy it is. But I am not going to spend too much time on that because, again, I just want this focus to be more of an introduction to what you're able to do with it. And if you are interested in more information about the actual construction and things like that, then we would be certainly happy to put something together, training opportunities and things like that for yourself and your employees, your other users. So don't feel like you need to know all of it. With the new sites, you can quickly embed content, create links to Google Drive files, and even create slideshows with Google Sheets and then an awesome table extension, which is one of the tools I'm going to show you at the end here. Real briefly, it's an extension for your Chrome browser, and this will allow you to do, honestly, some pretty amazing things with just using Google Sheets. So kind of a brief rundown of what we're going to go through when we get into our demonstration portion here in just a moment. Our introduction to Google Sites, we're going to be looking at new sites versus classic sites. Again, the new sites is taking over. We do still have some time here. Classic sites has more functionality at this point still, but new sites is the direction they're headed. And so over the course of the next year and a half, as they begin to try and phase out the classic sites, you will see some more of this functionality come into the new sites as well. We'll also spend some time looking at some use cases here. Some of the specific pages that I'm going to show you that I've developed for this demonstration we're looking at today is a project team site. So things that you can do with that are including calendars or just using it as kind of a Dropbox for anything useful that you would want to keep for a project team. So PDFs, diagrams, schematics, images, videos, whatever you really need to have on there, we're going to be able to upload very easily on here. We're also going to look at Google Sites for Intranet. So one of the nice features about this is we are able to specify through permissions who's able to access sites. So you can use Google Sites for an intranet for your company and restrict it to just your domain's users, which is a wonderful feature and allows you to use it for a number of things, including onboarding, just employee information, contact lists, things like that. And then we will finish up real briefly with a couple of tips and tricks. Again, I'm going to look at Awesome Table, the Google Analytics, which is free and available to help you with your website and examining how people are using it so you can better design that. And then also the potential for custom development through things like app scripts that our engineers here at Sweetbriar are able to and more than happy to help you put together. So the first thing we're going to focus on is the introduction to Google Sites. These are not all of the differences that exist between the two platforms. However, these were the ones that I thought would be most beneficial or most wondered about, I guess, by our clientele. And so I handpicked these. Some of the differences you'll notice with classic sites, you have templates. With new sites, you do not. Again, down the road, these are things that potentially could be added. So over the next year, I would imagine the new sites is going to be changing quite a lot too as Google prepares to make that full switch. The big difference here, when Classic Sites was developed, not everyone was accessing everything through their smartphones and through tablets. Mobile devices were really kind of new. The new sites is really designed to focus more towards that computer, phone, tablet, multiple platform ability. So new sites is designed specifically to be friendly with the cell phone environment that we live in nowadays. Subpages, you'll see with classic sites you have unlimited. With new sites you only have 5. This really isn't that big of a deal though because the permission levels have changed. So if you look immediately below that, we do have page level permissions on the classic sites, and we do not have that right now with the new sites. So in classic sites where you might have one web page with many, or one website with many pages, and each page could have different people that would be able to work with that data and be able to edit and things like that. With the new sites, as of right now, it's all or nothing on that site. So instead of using subpages, you would actually divide these up into just different websites, and they would have each one would have a different access level permission granted to certain people. Browser support. Classic sites you could do with just about anything. The new sites, as of right now, you can view it through pretty much everything. However, if you want to edit, you're going to have to either use the Chrome or the Mozilla browser. So just be aware of that. One of those two needs to be used for the editing features, just the editing portion. Storage limits. You have storage limits with the classic sites, whereas now on the new sites you do not. And then we also have your site as part of Drive down here at the bottom, but doesn't count towards your storage limits. So that was not the case with classic sites, but with the new sites it is. So this will not count towards your storage limits within Drive. Again, I'm not going to go into this too much, but I did want to include this information because I'm sure a number of you are probably interested in this. So information about Google's plans to move entirely to new sites. This will link you to an article that talks about a little bit of their depreciation timeline, kind of how they're looking to spread that out. As of right now, it is looking to be still about a year out, if not just a little bit more than that. So, and they are taking into account folks that are using it and how you're using it and things like that too, so that nobody is caught off guard here. So don't worry, it's not just going to happen overnight. You'll have plenty of opportunities to switch that over. And then to that end, I've included information here as well about migrating your classic site. So if you have classic sites already in place, there's information here as to how you can migrate those over to the new sites. So a couple clickable links there that'll be useful to you if you're interested in learning about the depreciation timeline for the classic sites. A couple of use cases we'll be looking at today. Landing page. So Google Sites works really well for hosting business-to-business style landing pages. The reason for that being you can specify who's able to access that site. So if you develop a site for one project that only involves your domain or a handful of people out of your domain and some people from another company or something like that, you can hand invite them in individually You can do it by group. So there's a number of ways to do that, but it's a wonderful opportunity to have these business-to-business style landing pages. Also, you have a wonderful opportunity for a small business intranet. This is something a lot of our clients utilize this for. Because again, you can shut it down so that only the folks in your domain can have it or can see it. And then you also have the ability to make it so it doesn't show up on search engine results. So people from outside are unable to find it. And then finally, an organizer for salespeople. So again, a kind of a file cabinet idea here where we can kind of have a one-stop shop for our salespeople with anything they need to access. Key features to the new Google Sites. You can create web pages that display nicely on any device. So again, that mobile feature that we were talking about as we move into this smartphone generation that we've been in now for 10 years or so, it's going to continue to move in that direction. And so Google Sites is trying to move with that. You can insert content from Google Drive and other apps directly in, which is amazing and super easy. You can embed some external content. There are some limitations there, but there are a lot of things that you can just embed directly into your site. You can customize and move content sections, just drag and drop when you're building it. So again, the editing interface is just amazingly simple. And you can publish your site to the organization, to the world, and in fact, even to just specific users. And we'll look at that again real briefly at the end of the demonstration. So the first thing we're going to look at here in our demonstration is going to be the project teams. And actually, I apologize. I'm going to hold off on that for just 1 second because as we start, we're actually going to begin on kind of a home page. So I'm going to click over now into the page that I've developed here for our demonstration today. So in the new sites, like I said, the permission levels are not page able. So you cannot have individual pages on one site that are different permission levels. For our purposes today, though, I went ahead and included them all in one as pages, just so it would be easier for this purpose. However, each one of these in a real-world setting, you would want to have them as an individual site each because of those permission levels. So again, this is our home page. In my mind's eye, I think of this as something that's open to everyone. So this is just going to be completely open. No limits here. You'll see we've included backgrounds, basic text boxes, pictures that are included. From here, we have clickable links. So I'll show you some of the potentials here. We can go ahead and have a clickable link to a form. So if you were in attendance for last month's informational webinar, we looked at forms and we talked about briefly how they could be used towards trying to put together some simple workflows and things like that, because you can link them directly to certain people's emails. And that way you can kind of trigger a response reaction. And so we have a link here just to a job application form. Again, once they submit this, you could have that form sent off to specific people. You can even break that down even more by having a couple of add-ons put on there. And you can actually set it up to send automatic responses and things like that. So wonderful opportunity to streamline some of your business needs. If we continue down, again, just a picture installed, text box, and then we have a clickable link so we can see satisfied customer reviews. We can go ahead and link out to those. And everything in here I created, so these are all going to be pretty generic. So when you're looking at it, the contact list will probably not actually be contact information, but just for the purpose of what we're looking at here today. These are a couple of things I really wanted to point out. This is utilizing that awesome table extension that I was talking about briefly during the introduction. What this does is it is an add-on for your Google Sheets that actually takes spreadsheet data and turns it into a number of different things, utilizing templates and things like that that they have in place. Here we have a slideshow with some information. This is from the Awesome Table add-on. And then also, as we scroll down, we have an In the News section here. And these are just directly taken from their templates. So you can see just some of the possibilities that you can do. But again, this is just using spreadsheet data. We actually have a number of articles they've included. So if you want to be able to put information about what's happening with your company on your homepage, you can do that using this extension. It's also got search features. You specify, so you can have different breakdowns so people can search for specific things. So if you have interest in groups directory, you'll see it immediately switches just to that. You can also have categories. You can break it down by article date, so you can shrink what you're looking through. And then you can just scroll through these as well. And again, for just using a spreadsheet, this utilization is just amazing. So we've got some more information linking you to the Awesome Table extension towards the end. I'm not going to spend really any time going into how the construction works because it is kind of a process, but I did want to make sure you guys were aware of it because the functionality of it, especially on sites, is really quite amazing. You just embed that right in there, and it's wonderful. And then we have down on the bottom, we have another form here. This one I've embedded, so we can go ahead and answer this one directly in. So customer feedback, they come to the page, they answer some questions. Again, you're able to set up automatic responses and things like that through add-ons, but you can submit that directly through here without even leaving this web page. So a wonderful feature there. Briefly here, I'm talking about the mobile compatibility of the new sites. And so I want to show you here. Right now, we're looking at the computer preview of our edit page, but you'll see we can actually break this down so we can see what it would look like on a smartphone. And this way you can kind of spot where you might have things that don't gel quite as well on the mobile devices and make some changes to your website so that they are more compatible there. But you're able to preview it in both a cell phone and then also a tablet model. So amazingly, you can see exactly what these are going to look like on the new devices that people are utilizing every day. And it gives us a better idea of if things are going to change format or anything on the mobile device and things like that. Maybe it'll get kind of uglied up. And so that gives us the opportunity to correct those issues before we actually go live and publish. So at this point, we'll go on to the sites for project teams. We're going to look at showing upcoming deadlines by adding a Google Calendar. And then also adding design images, spreadsheets, PDFs, any kind of file directly out of Drive. So again, we can include Google Forms here. We can have the Google Calendars embedded. And then we can share this with either your team, the whole world, or specific people. So with a project site, when I imagine this, I'm thinking you're having specific people come into this environment. So with this one, you're probably not going to want to have it open to the whole world. You're probably not going to want to have it open to your entire domain because you're dealing with specific people here. And so you'll actually, you can add them in either through groups, through Google Groups, or you can add them in just directly through their own personal email. So you can really break it down exactly who is going to have access to this information. So let's get back over to our demo here so we can see the examples I put in place here. Again, I've got it as a page. This would be a real or its own site in a real world model, but for our purposes, it's a lot quicker and easier for me to put it together like this. Excuse me. So as this loads, you'll see I've got it broken down into two projects here. We could certainly have this broken down into more or less depending on your needs. I just wanted to show some of the different functionalities here. So these calendars that I'm showing here are directly linked to those projects. One of the great features about the new sites is we have these calendars embedded. People can add and make changes to the calendars. So you can share the calendars out so that people can edit those, and those changes will actually reflect live time here. But you don't have to share edit rights out to the site. So with the sites, it's kind of nice to not have too many people involved with the actual design of that portion. However, you can invite people in to be able to edit the sites as well. But when you share out just the calendars or the sheets or the docs or the folders or whatever the case may be, anything that's embedded here, as it's changed in those destinations, it will live update here. So just a couple of things that we can look at real quick. These are all events that I've added on here. So if you have a project calendar embedded on your sheet and somebody comes in, you can click on it. You can pull up the details so we can see exactly what is the event. We have a Project A call Friday from 12 to 1. We can copy that directly to our calendar from here. Or if we're so inclined, you can click more details and it'll actually pop you out to that specific calendar so that you're able to see more events that are going on or make changes or edit, whatever the case may be. If we scroll down a little farther, so these are embedded sheets that I have here. Again, it's the same as the calendar. If I share these sheets out with folks that are on the project, as they make changes to the sheets, they will live update here. So I put in a pretend contact list here. Our contact list is actually the 27 Yankees, so I hope nobody takes offense. But you'll see we have all our information here. Again, if this is a contact list, you imagine emails, phone numbers, et cetera, et cetera. But we could have a one-stop shop here where everyone has information to be able to reach everyone else on the project in case they don't have a number, an email, or whatever the case may be. We also have, within the embedded sheets here, we actually have separate pages, and you'll see them appear as tabs on the bottom here. So we also have orders. So for those projects, you can keep all of your sales order information in one place so everyone knows what's been done, what hasn't. And then also for accountability, I've gone ahead and included a list here of people's names. What is their action item they're responsible for? And then if we scroll over just a little bit, we can see the due date and whether, there we go, and whether or not they've been completed. And then you'll see this pops up to the top. We can actually click this, and this will actually open that sheet up in its own window. So now at this point, if we want to, we can go through and edit. We can add sheets, we can change the information, we can do whatever we want here. And again, it will live update on that website. Scroll down a little further, we have some meeting notes. So if someone's unable to make a weekly meeting or whatever, they can quickly be caught up by just going to the project site and seeing what happened while they were gone. I included an example schematic that I uploaded here. So depending on what kind of project you're working on, you can have any kind of files here uploaded directly from your drive or just through links. So in this instance, I went ahead and did a schematic. We could do PDFs. We can do any kind of files really that you are interested in uploading here. And then this one is neat. So this is actually a sales folder that I've shared out. So if I go into my drive, you can see this folder right here. Anyone that has access to this folder, so we can share this entire folder out, or we can share individual files out. And as we do that, or as people add to this, it will live update on that website. So again, it's just an amazing feature. It kind of keeps it locked down a little better, so you don't have to give away the full edit rights and the full ability to change the website. However, people can still add, edit, and interact with the information held there just by sharing those files out, particularly those folders. So anytime somebody adds to this, it will live update that folder right here, and you can see you actually get kind of a preview of what each of those are. So now we will move on to our intranet. A couple of brief examples here. So again, in the real world example, this is something that I imagine would be closed down to just your domain. So through your publishing and your abilities there, you're going to share this only with those people. Again, you can turn off the search abilities so that people outside of your domain or somebody just searching in general is unable to find that website, which is a nice feature if you want to keep it more locked down. Again, you can embed Google Calendars here. You can onboard new team members with kind of a file cabinet, page of training materials, things like that. Or you can embed Google Sheets and whatnot like we've seen previously. So let's go ahead and move back over and take a quick look at our intranet demo. In our intranet demo here, again, you'll see I've got a couple of templates. So if you have people that need to access certain templates all of the time, you can house them here. From here, they can go ahead and open these out, again, into a separate window, just like we've seen previously. And then from here, they can go ahead and edit this information and change the name and use it however they want. They can go ahead and click File and make a copy and then change that however they please. But you can have the one-stop shop, again, where everyone can access these templates and then upload them and change them as needed. We have a couple more forms here. Again, you can pop these out and fill them out. Another opportunity here for workflow potential. Time off requests could go straight to HR, order requests straight to sales, et cetera, et cetera. So again, one place you can really streamline different workflows and things like that. We have some just clickable links. So health insurance, 401k, training materials. If you have like onboarding materials, you could have onboarding paperwork, I-9, things like that that people need to have access to when they first come into the company. You could just have clickable links here that would take them to all of those places. And then again, we have our company calendar over here. So again, you're able to see the details. You can copy it directly to your calendar and whatnot. And then if you have sharing rights to that calendar, you can go ahead and live update the calendar and it will show here in real time. So as soon as the site updates, or if you hit refresh, those events will appear. And you'll see I've got those, I'll show you real briefly. I've got those just under my calendar. So in this world, I'm Bugs Bunny. That's my training name. We have Acme company events. We have Acme Project A, Project B. So if I came over here, select this guy. Oh, I need to cancel this. Okay, so I'll come over here. We can click the three dots, show display this only, now I'm looking only at that calendar, and if I change events on here, it will live time update to our website. So real quickly before I get to our finish here, I do want to show you some of the edit tools and how simple that is. Again, I'm not going to go too far into detail. I will let you know it takes a couple of minutes to get started with this, but as soon as you've got any kind of momentum and you're getting used to it, it moves very fast. Once you've got the basics of it down, it's super simple. It's drag and drop, it's double click. You can see as I highlight over this, we're able to change our image, reset, we can change our header type. We have themes over here, so you can see, you can change what kind of font you have, the colors, things like that. And as far as adding content to this, you simply go to where you want to put, double click, and you'll get this box. And the box offers us text, images, embed, upload, and directly from Drive, which is really nice. That's how I did that folder upload. I just put the whole folder up there from Drive, and now it's accessible to everyone. So it's just a matter of double clicking to get the box, and then you simply click what you want and it appears. So if you want to embed, you click this. You've got the option to embed either with a URL or an embed code. You install it here, you hit next, and it appears. And it's really quite instantaneous. If you want to get rid of something, it's as simple as deleting it. You can copy sections, you can change the background. Again, very easy stuff. So you don't have to be any kind of computer expert by any means to be able to build these. So please don't be afraid. Okay, that being said, we are getting towards the end here, so I'm going to try and wrap this up and leave a couple minutes for questions. We have tips and tricks. Awesome table that I showed you a couple on our homepage examples there using the Google Sheets and the add-on. Google Analytics is a free service that's able to analyze how people are using your website so that you can keep it better designed, keep it more functional for the folks that are using it. And custom development abilities that our engineers at Sweetbriar are able to put together some app scripts for yourself and your company so that you can develop some more personal uses here. So again, these are clickable links, Google Analytics, awesome table. And if you are interested in the app scripts, we have a link right here to the Sweetbriar engineers. So you can click on any of those to learn more about it. I do want to save time for questions, so I'm not going to click on these links. But if you're interested in it, especially the Google Analytics is a really great way to figure out how your website's being used and really make sure that you've got the best setup for the functionality you're looking for. Oh, and then I'm sorry, I forgot as I'm looking at my notes to show the sharing abilities. I just wanted to point that out real quick. Just like everything else in Google, you're simply going to have this share button. So share with others. You'll see you have a couple options here because we have who's able to edit the actual training site. So myself is on here under my training name, then also my real name. And then if we go to the published, so this is after the website is published. As of right now, anyone can find and view this. But we're able to switch it again to anyone at Sweetbriar can find and utilize the published version, or we can specify people. So this is where we would do just Google groups and or specific people by email. So a quick look at that. And then if we go to the publish feature, this is where we can go ahead and turn off the request public search engines. So if you had any questions about that. Okay. That being said, I am just a minute over here. I did want to hold tight in case we have any questions. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free and enter those into the chat. And I will wait just a second here to see if anyone has any and answer those in turn. Okay, so I have a question here. If you embed a document, does it keep the same sharing permissions? It does, and in fact, this is something you'll want to be aware of as you're starting to play around with this. If you link a spreadsheet or a Google Doc or any of those things into this, if you haven't opened up those sharing permissions, when it shows on your site, it'll just show as like blocked. You need to go ahead and ask for permission to view this or whatever. So again, as you're designing it, that preview option, try it through a couple of different users to see how it looks for them, because if it hasn't been shared out, they won't have access to those files and be able to see them actually. So you will have to change those permissions. Okay, and then how long do I have to migrate my classic site? So again, the timeline information is in here. It's still kind of vague. As of right now, you're probably looking at about a year and a half to fully migrate it over. The way they have it set up, though, is to where they'll give us kind of a year notice, and then that last 3 months, they will transfer it to a view only, so you can't edit those classic sites any longer, but you can still migrate them over to the new sites. So it's going to be done in phases. They will have that year, that year where you're able to make the changes, and then the 3 month period where it's going to be view only, and they're kind of going to be looking for you to make those changes so they can move on. Okay, I'm not seeing any more questions coming in, so I want to thank everyone for your time today. Again, we will be sending out a copy of the recording as well as the slides that we've been looking at here. So you'll have all the information that we have discussed and also looked at today available to you very soon. So thank you for your time today, and everyone have a great afternoon.